This is a difficult one to talk about, and this is about some of the BS that goes on in our community. And if you've ever thought maybe it's just me when you've clashed with a client or fallen out with a fellow creative photographer or been the subject of a group chat that should have stayed silent, you're not alone. I spoke about this about myself personally, but someone else reached out to me and said, I really need some help, Khandie. And I was like, yes, because I know what it's like. Conflict in the creative industry is as normal as it is in regular life. Honestly, it's not it is not exempt. And while we like to pretend it's all mutual admiration and good vibes, the truth is it's messy, it's personal, and it is really often down to money. So today I'm gonna open the door a little bit. I'm gonna share some stuff personally. I'm gonna talk. This is an episode that was specially requested. So I am gonna say they also remain anonymous because they're really going through it, who said, "Why do I keep getting hated so much in the industry?" And I'm gonna say, "Let's effing talk about it," as somebody who has very much felt like that. But please understand, I do not hate that people think like that about me. Conflict is not a red flag. Sometimes it's just a reality check. You're not unprofessional for having conflict. I think having an argument is slightly different, but having conflict is not. You're not difficult because you're setting boundaries. And I've talked about boundaries many, many times before in episodes. We're in an industry where work is personal, money is often very emotional about getting it, and boundaries are often non existent. Unlike regular 9 to 5 industries with HR and salary bands, creative work is subjective and emotional. And people don't know where the professional ends and the personal begins. Okay, you don't get conflict in our industry if someone forgets to refill the kettle in the break room. You get it because someone doesn't credit your work, or tried to lowball your rate, or gossiped about you in a place while you smiled with your face on set. I mean, I have walked into a group chatting because I saw one of my friends there, only to wait politely while they were talking, only to hear stuff they were saying about me. And some of it was true, like, "Oh my god, she's got this job, she's got that job," but other it was completely steeped in absolute BS. And these are grown ass people who work in this industry, and I have always been one of those ones who enjoys keeping receipts, as the kids say. So I walked up and I corrected straight away. That is something I do. It's taken me a lot of balls to do that, but it's not for everybody. And I have noticed though that a lot of these sort of conflicts revolve around money, the money war. Why it's usually about money. And I think creative conflict nearly always traces back to it, even when it doesn't look like it at first. Say, like with a client, oh my God, why are you charging so much? Why is it 500 quid? And you're like, that's about money. Can I pay after I've seen it? I don't want to pay ahead. It's about money. Ghosting when the final invoice is sent, and believe me, I'm going through this right now with some very high profile clients. It's about money. It's about money. Real world example, okay? A business client of mine has currently delayed their payment for 93 days. I charged the interest and they told me it was completely unreasonable. So I sent them the UK government led payment legislation. And now they're arguing, is there any chance I could take that off because they don't want to pay? They're a multi-million-pound company. I have got 19 invoices with them and they are late on every single one. Contracts are your insurance. I don't use deposits, I use booking retainers. That's something that you need to look into what you want to do, but they're non-negotiable for me. And late fees are legal in the UK, so I use them. Creatives, like creatives to creative conflicts are they're not too dissimilar when it comes to money. Sometimes when it's a TFP shoot, if you don't know what TFP shoot is, like time for photos, time for whatever it is. It used to be in the old days time for prints where you give them the photos, but this is like time for photos now. So people will model or work alongside you, and no one gets exactly monetary value, but they get the images. And no, but the images often have a limited use, like use them in your portfolio. But one time, my work was put on a massive advert for a brand that was not discussed. It was meant to be for portfolio use only. That caused conflict because that was not what it was about. And worse yet, the person had been paid for it to be used in that advert and never thought about paying anybody else. That's not okay. The model was really happy because obviously they're on a massive advert. I'm not really happy because that wasn't what was discussed with my work. And I just wanted it to be clarified. Now I'm not asking for monetary value at that point, but I was just like, you should have asked. Okay. Sometimes people post and they don't credit, even though it was discussed to be credit. It's not always the case you get credited. Please don't come for me that. And someone feels used or, just not okay. and someone undercuts you by doing the same shoot. Oh, I have a great one actually. Some woman reached out to my client, and my client shared it with me, and she said it's okay for me to share. She reached out to my client and said, "Whatever Candy's just charged you, I can charge you 20 quid less, and I'll bring sandwiches for lunch." And my client was like, no, no. And that actually fooled me. I thought it was quite funny. I don't hate this person. I'm like, I love it. If you want to bring sandwiches, oh my God, could you imagine if photographers now had to start bringing sandwiches? There was a point in my career where I was working in entertainment, and it was so standard for someone to provide cupcakes as a form of payment as well. I mean, that's ridiculous. Sorry, I would like money. Oh, well, I have these lemon muffins. No, I have these cupcakes. No, I want money. No, no, but I made cupcakes, so you don't want to be paid now. No, I still want to. That was an actual thing that went on. Honestly, it was insane. Now, the bit that nobody wants to say out loud, because often they're worried about, is creatives, photographers, you name it, are often each other's biggest source of conflict outside of the money side. Backstabbing is I feel like sometimes at a pandemic level. It's so common. I I know everyone's going, "No, I don't do that. I don't do that." Oh no, people do that. People do that. And I don't mean like sometimes it's just you need to vent. And we need to vent, and that should be okay to vent. If someone I have no problem with people venting. People saying, "Oh my God, Khandie really annoys me. She's got a podcast. I can't listen to it. Her voice is annoying." That's okay to say. My parents would probably agree with you. I what is not okay is to perhaps say, "Oh my God, Cam doesn't deserve anything like that. She's literally a loser, blah, blah, blah." Because I do deserve it because I'm able to create it as you are. That's a little uncommon. But there's also some quite I don't know if backstabbing is 100% what I would call the word, but it goes on. There are people who want there's this I'm gonna quote 50 Shades of Grey, and you're gonna hate me for it, right? I don't know if it comes from anyone else. It seems the more success I have, the more lucky people think I am and the more people resent it. Not just me. Please don't it's not just me. I think Christian Grey said that. I don't even know why I'm quoting that. One of my friends quoted it the other day and it made me laugh. It's probably the only thing I could quote from that movie. And we're not going to talk about how I got made to go watch that. It was an awkward moment with my best friend. I was like, ugh, weird. Not because I mean, I can watch this stuff, but it's more the other people in the audience making weird noises. I will talk about this and a whole nother thing when we meet up. Anyway, let's get back on track to this one. So, something does happen. We just like you have in the office, just like you have in daily life, there are some people who don't play well in groups. That happens. Also, we have such diverse personalities. People and people have different social cues. Like, it sometimes what you might think is backstabbing isn't intentional backstabbing, they're just venting, but sometimes it can go too far. And even in the most supportive collectives, there are still whisper networks, petty little going on. And I've seen it. I've seen it. I've been in a couple of these supportive groups, and then I've met some people up in real life. And, in the real world, we've taken it offline, and now we're meeting and breathing the same oxygen space. And they're not always as not always as I expect them to be. Sometimes they've been, and that's okay. I am not here to throw a person under the bus. Some people do confide in me, and it stays with me. The problem is, it stays with me, and I remember. So I'm like, but didn't you just say you would never, and now you are? But only in my head. I don't like say it out. And it happens. I mean, I talked about this before. Someone will copy your work, or in my case, my website, claim it's a coincidence it's got my name in it. No. And you hear your name mentioned in stories that never happened. That's what we call lies. When people lie, um, sometimes people misunderstood what happened. They when you're recalling a memory, sometimes it can get diluted and wrong. But yeah, these things happen. It's awful things. Like, I often go in these groups and I hear people saying, "This photographer's trying to sabotage me," and I'm like, are they trying to sabotage you, or is this of something else? There has to be an underlying. Someone doesn't randomly pick somebody out of nowhere and decide that's the person. Even if you're completely unaware of what's going on, there is a trigger that has made them do it. It's not. I'm not blaming you, but there might be something that's happened that has made them do it. So I always sit there and I look at these groups and I'm like, right, they're in the same town. Okay, so maybe this is what's about money. They're not getting what they want, and now they're trying to get it. And rather than go, okay, I need to diversify and need to be better at my marketing, they've gone, oh, well, I'm just going to trash the person who I think is my direct competition. That's on them. Okay, it happens. People have this scarcity mindset. They believe there's only room for one successful photographer, stylist, makeup artist, blah, 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 in a town. And it's really not. You can have loads. I mean, I'm literally in Northampton, where if I do Google Map looking, there is a photographer within a 5-minute walk of me. At one point, there was a photographer claiming he was in my studio. It's just it happens. And I've done many podcast YouTube videos on how to stand out in a saturated market, how to stand out, how to think bigger. You need to not think that everyone in your town is your client, because they're not. It's like you don't. It's like, think of it this way: not that you've got loads of coffee shops. Like if you're anything like Northampton, you've got loads of coffee shops, right? No one goes to all. Not everyone goes to the same coffee shop all the time. They go to different coffee shops. Some people are loyal to one brand. Some people don't care. They go to wherever they want. Some only go when there's a deal on. Some only go if it's new and fancy. Then they get bored and moved on. Like, that's how clients are with photography. We hope we get the ones that keep returning, but we can't guarantee that. Okay, we can do everything we want to cope. But do you know what happens? Another coffee shop opens and people go to it. Some are short-lived coffee shops. Some are around for ages. Some diversify and become a lunch place and then offer cocktails. Some do other things. Some actually became a bar and a cocktail shop, coffee shop. It was interesting. But think of it as photography. There is always a need if you present one, but also people will go where they want. Like, you cannot own a person. Okay, so that's something that happens with the scarcity mindset. The other one is ego protection. Now, we've all got an ego. We have. I don't care what anybody says. We all have one. Whether it's large or small, we all have one, because we are photographers and we put our work up there and we love it. However, when people feel threatened, maybe because you've got an award or a client says how much they love your work, people will attack. And it's usually because they don't physically that. Hopefully not. It's usually gossip and just the odd little sly dig here and there. I remember, I remember, and I think my best friend will actually be able to remember this. We went to an event and we were there, and this person was talking with me, my friend, and everyone about this photographer they'd met, and that oh, she's won those awards. She's really rude all the time to me, and every time I meet her, she just really annoys me. And I was like, oh my God, who's the talker? She said Khandie, and I was like, that's me. And my best friend looked at me, and my best friend's not the best at like reading the social room. She went, you don't even know who you're talking about. She went, yeah, I do. She went, that's Khandie. And this woman's face dropped. What she'd done was she'd gone online and had just felt a little uncomfortable. And I know I'm sharing here. This is years ago. Please understand, I don't have this on my daily. And my best friend was just like, what? And this poor woman, I mean, I would not have called her out because I feel like that's inappropriate. My friend, she doesn't know the social cues. And this woman went, oh, maybe it's a different one. She went, there's only one Khandie in the town. He's a photographer. Like, literally, it's a weird name. There's only one. And this woman was mortified. And I just went to it. It's fine. It's fine. You probably got me confused with somebody else, like trying to be like, pass the olive branch. And it did help. But that has happened. That has happened. Okay. I did make friends with a girl for a short time when someone messaged me to say, oh my God, she's copied your work. And I was like, what are you on about? And actually, it was something that was so it was so ununique. I'd done a levitation picture, right, in my studio with my friend Luna. Absolutely just did it, bang, bang, done it, put it online, people loved it. But it was levitation. It's not something new. It's not something new and done. But what annoyed me is someone messaged me, oh my God, she's copying work. And I had a look and I was like, it's not even copied. The girl's outside. It's a different looking girl. And it's levitation. I don't own it. But I got really worried that this girl would think, this other photographer female, would think that I felt this way about her. So I just messaged her and said, hey, just so you know, someone's messaged me saying that you've copied my work. I want you to know I don't think you have. I hope you're okay. I would never think that. Have a great one. And we became friends for a short time. And it was, relationships like drift and whatever. And I was just like, that's how I resolved that conflict, because I knew someone was trying to cause the conflict. And I've always been like, let's just hit it straight on. Let's just do it straight away. Sort it out. It's something I've developed over time to be like that. I'm not necessarily saying everybody can be like that, but it is something I've always felt like when I confront. And when people go, oh my God, why did you confront? That's so mean. No. If you can say it behind my back and you can say stuff about me, I'm going to confront you, because I don't believe in doing it behind someone's back. I go straight to the point. I've just been that way. You're not getting confused what I might be saying, because I'm telling you what I'm saying. When it comes to people saying when it comes to people telling me, oh, so and so said something about you, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm not going to react. I'm not, because often I find the person who's doing the tattletaling is the problematic person. It is okay to not be liked. My issue is when other people do the go-between. Even because, oh, you just shoot the messenger. The messenger made the first person comfortable enough to talk bad about me. They then stored that information, didn't correct them or stand up for me, waited till they saw me the next time, and then told me. That has never sat well with me, and it isn't something that's ever should ever sit well with anybody, okay? You have been a bad friend to the first person because they've told you something in confidence and you've used it against them. But also, what did you hope was going to get? Oh my God, you're my best friend now. I love you forever. No, it's not going to happen. That's not how you win favors with me. Real friends will defend you in rooms you're not even in. Okay. So, yeah, just that's a bit of life philosophy there. Also, there is a lack of professionalism when it comes to conflict training. I don't think many people do conflict resolution training. They've just kind of block, subtweet, or blacklist. That's it, done. The hard truth, not every community is a safe one, and some are just cliches with branding. I'm gonna get in so much trouble saying that, but they are, we're a community, said every cult ever. Not every cult is a community, and not every community is a cult, but do you get the idea, yeah? So how do you protect yourself from it? Let me have a swipe of my coffee, jeez, I'm doing this so early in the morning. And what the worst thing is I'm still decaf, and I really want that to have caffeine in it. So how to protect yourself in a conflict-heavy industry? First of all, build how do I say this? Build an emotional armor? Is that what you say? Not everyone deserves access to your energy. I know that is like a very clicky thing to say right now, but let it go. In the words of Elsa, the immortal Ice Queen, let it go, let it go. Choose people with care. Vet people like you'd vet a second shooter. Honestly, what's the problem? Delve deep, find out what they're doing. Why not? Do your thing. I'm like, nah, nah. They got a bit of like, nah, I don't want to get involved in that. Right? Even if they're good, I'm like, no, it's not worth it. I'm good. And being professional is not a weakness. Like, use contracts, use release forms, use email. Don't just DM. Back everything up. Document every agreement, even with friends. Friends, the way to quickly fall out with friends is when you let them use your service for free. Okay? Because somewhere along the line, they'll keep expecting it and you'll start feeling used. Or they'll start complaining and you'll feel used. Document it all, even if you're not like, I don't mind if you choose not to pay, but have it in a contract. So at least then in their head, they know this is serious. Okay. And then one of the things I always do is I show them the real price and then I show them the mate's discount. And then like, oh God, this would have cost me this much. I just do that, right? And it's really shitty to do. Some people can have a go at me over it, but it shows me the mindset, just what I'm doing. Okay. And don't be afraid to confront, but do it properly. Avoid vague accusations. You got to stick to the facts. Don't stick to the feelings. Stick to the fact. If someone screws you over, call it out, but call it out with clarity, not chaos. Okay. So if someone booked you for a job, then didn't tell you weren't cancelled, and you show up, they go, "Oh, so we're not having you." Call it out and go, "Well, we had an agreement, and I'm here, so I expect to be paid because you didn't cancel me." Okay. I've had this. I've had this happen to me. So I was working for a creative director, and he was very keen to have me on board. We did all the contracts, got everything ready, got everything signed. And then on the day, he sent me a message that week and I thought that was okay. And on the day I showed up and he goes, "Oh no, we're going a different direction now." I was like, "Okay, cool." He goes, "Yeah, with another photographer." And I looked over and it happened to be his mate, who he had told me I was replacing because they had had trouble working with him, right? Now, it's a little red flag, I know, but he said it's just awkward because, he's my mate and I can't redirect him, so I need someone who's not. And that seemed to be a very perfect reason. And I said, "Well, you still owe me money." And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, the contract still stands." He was not happy. I said, "The contract is what you signed. I am here. You did not cancel me." He got really shitty with me. He was not impressed. Equally though, the person who was there was like, "Wait, you hired another photographer?" And I'm like, I'm not here to discuss this, but I was hired." This was a couple of years ago, and I stand my ground. I didn't get paid, by the way. I didn't get paid in the end. I didn't get blacklisted because I got rehired not too long after by the same company, but I've never had to work with him again, and I'm sure he's really angry about it. But the fact is, he booked me. He confirmed the booking like that week, and still didn't have the gumption. He just thought I would pick up that because he didn't message me the week before, that the 2 days before, that I wasn't going there. I was like, "Mate, you still follow me on Instagram and you were still chatting to me. At no point did you give me indication that this was not going ahead. We literally spoke on Monday and you said, 'Can't wait to see you on Thursday.' What do you think was going to happen in those next 3 days that would make me think anything?" You didn't even, you literally commented on my story. What was it? He said, "Oh, I can't wait for us to work together," which is the Thursday. You commented me on the Tuesday about that. What happened? Reputation works both ways. People worry about being blacklisted. I'm going to put inverted commas. I don't think that's a real thing. But sometimes your site allows others to damage your name. Don't be afraid to set the record straight if someone is spreading lies. Being professional doesn't mean staying silent. It means knowing how to hold and when to speak. Okay. And it's a technique that we have to learn. And that's why I say keep receipts. When someone says, oh, what's it someone once said that I heard? I remember years ago, no, I'm saying years ago, not too long ago, someone informed me that that there was a well-known person going around telling people that I had done something to a company and now they'd had huge problems. They couldn't tell the person what company it was. So I basically wrote a list of every single company I've worked for. I done brand deals, and I was like, well, that one's done. That was fine. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I then spoke to somebody about it and said, hey, are you aware this was being said about me? And they were like, oh, yeah, they said this to me too. And I said, well, what company? And they said, oh, I don't know. He goes, well, then are you sure it even existed? And that person got really flustered. And I went, oh, so people know it's a lie. Oh, yeah, people know it's a lie. But that's kind of her thing that she does when she's trying to dismiss or downplay somebody. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't have to confront because I knew it was a lie. But then I had the opportunity to meet this person. And it was at a well-known show, and I looked over and I was like, "Do I really want to do that?" No. Because what was really funny is that the 4 people who had told me in the road that this person does this sort of thing were all nearby, and they were like, I said, "I might speak to them." They're like, "Do it." And I was like, "I don't think I need to." The fact is that 4 of you know what she does was a lie. I felt comfortable with that. So when I say go speak to people, sometimes there's no need, because if enough people know they're a BSer, you don't need to get involved in that. But I also don't give that person my time. I don't give that person my time because I know I haven't done that. And I think any brand, as you can see, I'm working with more brands now, know that about me. I deliver the goods I'm meant to deliver. I do the work I'm meant to do, and I work really hard. It's inevitable. The more you do, the more people talk about you. I know that sounds like an ego thing. It will happen. It does happen, and it will continue to happen. It's really sad that that's the way it goes, but sometimes I always had this thing where I say it on my I've said it quite a few times when I've done it in interviews. I think it was on the first BIP interview I ever did on their podcast. If people have got time to bitch and moan about you, they're not working hard enough. Like, I can't sit here and slate somebody off because I'm like, I don't have enough time to interact with people. I do my job and then I hang out with my friends. Like last night we went out, we had cocktails, we had a party. I enjoyed my time. Hello, Lindsay. Hi, Mercedes. Hi, Maria. How are your heads today? I I I enjoy my life. I do what I do and it's fun. And I don't hang out with people and worry about what ifs and what nots, and it just seems like people are stuck in this mindset that they have to talk about you, they have to be rude, they have to try and get they're not on my radar. There is my work life and there is my home life, and often they get a little bit blurred in the middle, but they are not more important than one than the other. I need my home life, my friendship to maintain me so that I can still do my professional. I need my professional so I can still go out and hang out with my friends. Let's just put it that way. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard, and you just gotta let some people go. You can't vibe with everybody. It's really bad for your mental health to assume you can vibe with every single person. It's really bad. Like, we are not Disney princesses. We can't be liked by everybody. I mean, even they don't. Some evil stepmother hates them. I don't know. Some random dragon hates them. Um, we can't be liked by everybody. It's not good, and you've got to stop being liked by everybody because you've got to accept that what you might be the loveliest person in the world, but you might be the most irritating to another. Okay, it's just how the world goes. There are some collaborations that just need to crash and burn and never exist again. It does not make you the villain in turning down this work or not choosing to work with people or engage with people. It makes you a business owner. It makes you somebody who is respecting your own boundaries, who is learning. Sometimes, though, conflict can be a growth sign. It's not necessarily a red flag. Conflict can mean that you've grown beyond your old connections or your updated boundaries. Sometimes the bitching happens because you are doing well. Like I said, when people notice your rates, your confidence, your name popping up, it threatens their sense of comfort. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to do a great job. If that causes some noise in the peanut gallery, good. Let them talk. Let them whine. Because while you're busy working and earning, they're whining. It's not the same, okay? Now, conflict is not the end of the world. It's a sign you're taking up space, asserting value, and refusing to play small. And yes, it's uncomfortable. But it's also a kind of badge of, excuse me, kind of a badge of honor. To the listener who asked this episode, thank you for being brave enough to say what many are thinking. You're not broken, and you're certainly not unprofessional. You are in a messy, human, cash-fueled, ego-driven industry, and you're learning to thrive. Sometimes we're just paddling water, sometimes we're swimming along happily, and sometimes it feels like we're slipping beneath the surface. Next time you have a fallout, pour a cuppa, look at your contracts, check your bank account, and remember your job isn't to be liked, it's to be respected. Okay? If you have a story about conflict in the creative world, slide into my DMs, hit up the Loud Lens Facebook page. I would love to feature your story in maybe a future episode. Obviously, I'll keep you anonymous. And I hope that you'll share this episode and maybe it'll bring you some help. For God's sake, though, charge your worth and don't let these people take up time. It hurts, but this is just work. Walk away. If it's starting to get too much, you don't need to jump. It's that famous saying, not my circus, not my monkeys. Let them do that. You keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy your business. Enjoy what you do. Don't let somebody else make you feel less than. Okay. See you later. I am now off to, I'm getting my hair done actually. That's a bit boring for you to know.